Hello everyone, this is Shivali from the Sweet Boutique. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are creating episode 6 of the Lavender Garden series, and this design is called the Enchanted Lavender Bouquet. If you haven't watched the previous episodes of the Lavender Garden series, be sure to check them out. I've linked them all in the description below. This design may look intricate, but when we break it down flower by flower, it's actually made up of a few simple piping techniques layered together. So grab your piping bags and let's begin. I'm starting with a small round piping tip and green buttercream. Using gentle and steady pressure, I'm creating 2 tall cones on the cupcake. These cones will act as the foundation for our miniature chrysanthemums and help give the flowers their height and realistic shape. Now I'm moving on to the first cone. I'm taking tip number 81 and lavender buttercream. To create the chrysanthemum petals, I'm positioning the tip so the narrow opening faces outward while the wider side sits closer to the cone. I begin at the bottom of the cone and pipe short petals one at a time. As I apply pressure, I keep the tip close to the surface. Then I release pressure and pull the tip away slightly to form a clean petal edge. Once the first ring is complete, I rotate around the cone and build the next layer directly above it. Each new row slightly overlaps the previous one, gradually covering the cone and creating that beautiful layered chrysanthemum texture. As I move upward, the petals become shorter and tighter, helping the flower close naturally towards the top. If you would like a complete breakdown of this technique, I created a dedicated Stardust Chrysanthemum tutorial in episode 5 of this series. Make sure to watch that episode after this one because I explain the chrysanthemum piping process in much greater detail there. Now I'm moving on to the second cone. Using the same tip number 81, I'm switching to blush pink buttercream. The process remains exactly the same. I begin from the base of the cone, creating short overlapping petals while slowly rotating around the flower. Working layer by layer is the key to achieving a realistic chrysanthemum. I'm allowing each row to sit slightly above the previous one while maintaining consistent pressure throughout. As I reach the upper section of the cone, the petals naturally become tighter and more compact. This helps create the rounded bloom shape and gives the flower a beautiful dimensional finish. The combination of lavender and blush pink chrysanthemums creates a lovely color balance within the bouquet. Now I'm taking my large round tip and green buttercream. I'm creating a larger central cone which will become the base for our focal flower. I'm using tip number 104 along with a dual tone buttercream combination. The narrow side of my piping tip is loaded with lavender buttercream, while the wider side contains blush pink buttercream. This creates a beautiful natural color variation throughout the petals. As I continue outward, I gradually rotate the piping tip slightly away from the center and allow the petals to open more naturally. The outer petals become larger, softer, and more relaxed. I'm also varying the placement slightly rather than making every petal identical. These subtle imperfections are what make buttercream roses feel more lifelike and natural. Now I'm returning to the large green cone we created earlier. Using white buttercream and a star tip, I'm covering the cone with tiny filler flowers. I begin at the base where the flowers are packed closely together. This creates density and fullness. As I gradually work upwards, I slightly reduce the spacing between clusters and allow the flowers to become lighter and more delicate. This creates a beautiful flowering spike effect and adds wonderful contrast against the larger blooms. The texture from these tiny flowers helps bring the entire bouquet together. To fill some of the remaining spaces, I am using green buttercream and a round tip to pipe several small cones around the cupcake. I am placing them randomly rather than evenly spacing them. This helps create a more natural bouquet arrangement and avoids the design looking overly structured. Now I'm switching to tip number 352 and green buttercream. I'm carefully filling all the remaining gaps with leads. As I pipe each leaf, I apply pressure at the base and then gradually release while pulling away. This creates a pointed, natural leaf shape. Using the same white buttercream and star tip, I'm placing tiny flowers on top of the smaller cones we created earlier. These little blossoms help soften the arrangement and connect all of the flowers together. Sometimes it's the smallest details that make the biggest difference. They add movement, texture, and a delicate finishing touch throughout the bouquet. And just like that, our enchanted lavender bouquet is complete. A combination of miniature chrysanthemums, delicate filler flowers, a dual-toned rose and natural greenery all coming together in one elegant cupcake bouquet. It's almost too pretty to eat. I hope you enjoyed creating this enchanted lavender bouquet with me today. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please don't forget to like this video, leave a comment below and subscribe to the channel for more buttercream flower tutorials. Thank you so much for being here and I'll see you in the next episode of the Lavender Garden series. Bye bye, take care.